The streets of Kampala are loud, taxis honk, life moves fast, but beneath that noise, there's a history many people don't talk about. Tony and Rita came searching for it, and every road led back to one name, Idi Amin. In 1971, while Uganda's President Milton Obote was away attending a conference in Singapore, everything changed. Idi Amin, then a military commander, seized power. No election, no warning, just tanks, guns, and a new leader. By the time Obote returned, Uganda was no longer his.
Imagine leaving your country as president and returning as nothing.
At first, many Ugandans celebrated. The coup felt like a new dawn. A soldier had taken over, someone they believed was for the people. In the early days, there were signs of progress that fueled this hope. New hospitals were commissioned, roads were repaired, and Uganda gained international visibility through sports and grand infrastructure projects like the Nile Hotel. But this public image of a strong nation-building leader was only one side of the story. Behind the scenes, power began to change the man. Or maybe it just revealed who he had been all along. The grand economic promises started to crumble. After the expulsion of the Asian community, skilled labor vanished, industries stalled, shortages became a part of daily life, and the vibrant economy decayed into a system of survival. Fear became the new currency. Amin ruled with an iron fist, and the state's paranoia seeped into every corner of society. Roadblocks sprung up everywhere, manned by unpredictable soldiers. Travel became a tense gamble. Anyone suspected of opposing him, politicians, soldiers, intellectuals, business owners, could simply disappear overnight. Then came one of the darkest moments, a turning point that horrified the world. The killing of Janani Luwum, the Archbishop who dared to speak out against the regime's atrocities. He delivered a note of protest directly to Amin, sealing his fate. His death, staged as a car accident, sent a chilling message across the country and beyond. No one was untouchable. Just over a year into his presidency, Idi Amin made a decision that would define his rule and shock the world. He claimed it was a divine revelation, a dream from God commanding him to give Uganda back to ethnic Ugandans. On August 4th, 1972, Amin ordered the expulsion of the country's entire Asian population, mostly of Indian and Pakistani descent. They were a community that had formed the backbone of the nation's commerce for generations. An estimated 80,000 people were given just 90 days to leave the country, forced to abandon their homes, their livelihoods, and their history. They could take only what they could carry, and a pittance of cash. Businesses that had thrived for decades shut down overnight. Shops were abandoned, their futures uncertain, lives were irrevocably uprooted. Amin triumphantly called it an economic war for liberation. He redistributed the seized businesses and properties to his soldiers and supporters, but these new owners often lacked the experience to run them. The immediate impact was catastrophic. The expulsion triggered a massive brain drain and the collapse of key industries like cotton, coffee, and sugar. Uganda's economy, once one of the most promising in Africa, took a devastating hit.
Even today, walking through these old arcades, you can still feel the gap they left behind. It's a ghost in the architecture.
But the story isn't one-dimensional. Despite the fear, there were visible developments during his rule. Projects and institutions tied to that era include Nile Hotel expansion of Mulago Hospital infrastructure, like Mpoma satellite station housing developments such as Bugolobi flats. To some, these were signs of progress. To others, they couldn't outweigh the fear. Life under Amin was unpredictable. One day, normal, the next, silence. Rumors spread faster than truth. People spoke in whispers. Trust became dangerous.
You survived by knowing when to talk and when to disappear.
Power, especially when absolute, often overreaches. For Idi Amin, his reign was a high-stakes game, but the board was an entire nation. By the late 1970s, The consequences of his erratic rule were catching up. The economy, crippled by the expulsion of the Asian community and years of mismanagement, was in shambles. Grand projects had stalled, leaving behind empty promises while essential services deteriorated. The international community had isolated him, and at home the atmosphere was thick with fear and uncertainty. In a desperate and fatal miscalculation, Amin sought to distract from his domestic failures with a show of military might. In October 1978, he made a bold move. He invaded neighboring Tanzania, annexing the Kagera salient. He claimed it was a response to Tanzanian aggression, but most saw it as a reckless gamble by a leader whose grip on power was slipping. But this time, the fight came back. Tanzanian President Julius Nyerere, who had long opposed Amin's regime, declared that the Ugandan dictator had to be toppled. He famously stated, "We have the reason, we have the ability, and we have the will." The Uganda-Tanzania war began. Tanzanian forces, better organized and motivated, were joined by a coalition of Ugandan exiles, united under the banner of the Uganda National Liberation Front. They pushed back, not just as invaders, but as liberators. City by city, the joint forces advanced. Amin's army, weakened by purges and defections, began to disintegrate. His calls for aid from allies went largely unanswered. His control collapsed. On April 11, 1979, Kampala fell. The 8-year reign of terror was over, and just like that, the man who took power through force lost it the same way. Today, Uganda has moved forward, but the story of Idi Amin remains a powerful reminder, not just of fear, but of how quickly power can rise. This isn't just history, it's a warning. Power without accountability becomes dangerous. Leadership without balance becomes fear. He ruled with fear, but even fear has an ending. Follow and subscribe to Wild Diaries for more real, raw, authentic African stories.